Hi guys. I'm so into this right now, I decided to do the second one. It's okay. Anyway. Yeah, I'm so into this, I decided to do the second one today, so. Bear with me, guys, and just soak up the information, write it down. They don't always get the information right on the subtitles because humans are smarter than AI. Especially when it comes to spelling and figuring out what people are saying. AI is stupid. Okay, so this one is on, it's still in the pin of Animal Starts, Homestead Animal Starts. Or is this starting to hurt again? I might have to put the ace bandage on again. Anyway, this one is on what to raise on your homestead or backyard farms. Okay. This one, see if I can get this sitting properly. I'm actually reading it off from my phone because I don't have this all written out, but
You don't have to write stuff. We don't have a healthier grandchildren.
with the ingredients.
You
know what I meant.
can't look at the ingredients. That brown sugar is inside a bowl.
We also have another one in the cupboard, I think. I don't know. Anyway.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to not get anorexia. Interrupting nervous.
Well, wait, I'm just telling you that's how to figure it out. Just look at the ingredients. Anyway. Planning a homestead or backyard farm involves taking inventory of your resources and of yourself. Once you've been bitten by the farming and homesteading bug, it's fun to fantasize about the possibilities. In fact, the possibilities can be overwhelming, and I've already found that out. Perhaps that is why readers ask, what should we raise? What's the easiest thing to raise? What's the best thing to raise? My answer to those questions is, I don't know. Honest. Some people won't accept that, but I can't possibly know because I don't know anything about their climate, land, food preferences, finances, or town ordinances. All of those things, among others, factor into what's easiest and best for you. So, I created this guide to inventorying your resources and yourself so you can determine what to raise on your homestead. Again, this is on Pinterest. What to raise on your homestead or your backyard farm. Oh, yeah, I think it's more just your brown sugar is more natural than white sugar. It's not bleached. It's not really refined. Your dark brown sugar I do believe has molasses in it. And molasses is healthy. Yes. Molasses is healthier than actual sugar.
What's one cup of mashed potatoes? Is that mean? Does that mean potato flakes or actually mashed potatoes?
Excuse me for a second. Okay, sorry guys. This guides you through 15 critical considerations for restriction property. Sorry about that, guys. I just realized I almost screwed up again. Okay. This guides you through 15 critical considerations when planning to start a homestead or a backyard farm. Please feel free to share your own ideas or ask questions in the comment section. And you can find this on Pinterest as well. And I'm just reading it. I'm not claiming it as my own. I'm just reading it. Just to get the information out there, to share it. And I will even share this off from here. So, I'm just reading it. That's it. Number 1, local laws and regulations. When planning a homestead or backyard farm, check the local laws and regulations for restrictions on type of livestock, limitations on numbers of animals, distance of structures from property lines, etc. Check state and local wetland laws, which may limit or prohibit activity within a certain distance from streams, swamps, vernal pools, etc. Ignorance is no excuse for violation, and you may have to relocate your setup or remove it entirely, even if you were unaware of your restrictions. Yes. Top of the fridge.
Is it healthy?
I haven't even looked at the ingredients. Look at the ingredients!
I don't know how to tell.
Chloe, if there's words in it that don't make sense or you can't pronounce, then the answer to that question is no. If it's all...
It doesn't work for me. I have dyslexia. I have issues pronouncing pretty much everything.
Chloe, ground corn. That's basically all cornmeal is.
If they have something hard, I'm just gonna give it up.
Yeah, because that's the attitude to have. Number 2, space. While clever space-saving strategies in vertical gardening can help you pack a lot into a small backyard farm, as detailed in the popular post, How to Start a Backyard Farm, a small suburban lot isn't going to support larger livestock, even with lax town ordinances and saintly neighbors. And for those who live where livestock are allowed, still take a serious look at the space you can provide.
That answers your question, doesn't it?
And the cherry. The cherry is the star.
Degermed yellow cornmeal. Niacin is a vitamin. Reduced iron, thiamine. That's also a vitamin. And riboflavin and folic acid are vitamins. So, yes, you're good with that.
Yeah, because I would have given up.
Again, that's the attitude to have.
Well, I'm kind of struggling with a lot of this right now, Mom.
Chloe, unfortunately, that's what life is a struggle, and you can't give up on any part of it. Don't give me that look.
Everything I eat makes me sick.
There's always options. Anyway. Still take a serious look at the space you can provide. Will animals have the freedom to exercise their natural behaviors? If not, then think smaller animals or think vegetable garden and purchase your meat, cheese, and eggs at a larger local farm. As I was saying, before I realized that this wasn't even going. If you're going to purchase locally, make sure of where the meat, cheese, and eggs are coming from. If you can find a local farmer to get them from, you're good. You don't have to worry about it. But if the place that you're getting them from, they can't really answer that question, and it's not really local like you want it to be, then find somewhere else, because you're going to be getting chemicals and all kinds of stuff in it that you don't want. And it's really unhealthy for you, so... Self-sufficiency is a wonderful trend, but unfortunately you find the occasional homestead where livestock don't get much better care than those in factory farms. It's heartbreaking, but yes, it does happen. Okay. A small flock of chickens usually works well on smaller homesteads, but be sure you have enough space to let them express their natural behaviors. And in this, they show one of their Easter eggers enjoying their backyard. And I'll show that little picture right there. Okay. Number 3. What you like to eat. I recognize the allure of raising or growing something because it's easy. As a novice, you want to see results. Growing zucchini is incredibly rewarding. It's amazing how well those plants produce, but if you don't love them, either fresh or preserved, what will you do with them? Neighbors quickly tire of them too. This sounds stupid and obvious, but it's a common mistake for beginners, myself included. What was I thinking, planting 12 tomato plants in our first year here? I found that 5 or 6 plants yield plenty of tomatoes for our family of 4. Now I grow small quantities of wider variety of vegetables. There are no best crops to grow and no best livestock to raise. It just depends on what your family's needs are. There's another picture that they show right there. I do believe those are sweet potatoes. Yep, sweet potatoes don't do well in any climate. Okay, this says sweet potatoes don't do well in their climate, but I'm working on extending the warm season to increase yield. So, probably growing them in a greenhouse. Okay, number 4, climate. When designing your homestead, think about the conditions on your land in each season and find out if the animals you want can tolerate them. For most species, there is a breed to match almost any climate. Highland cattle can thrive in extremely cold, snowy regions, but will roast in hot, humid climates. With regular hair instead of wool, black-bellied Barbados sheep thrive in heat and humidity. Most chicken breeds adapt to most climates, but those such as the Chanticleer, Chantecler, bred to thrive in extreme cold, will lay better in the winter. The feed is also a big one on that. A major, major one. As I explained with the chickens we had in Michigan. Vegetables also have preferences for temperature and precipitation, and there are many online sources and excellent books detailing the climate suitability of each vegetable plant. Learn to love those which grow well in your climate. I never cared much for leafy greens, but they do so well here in our cool spring weather that I've learned to love them. And they're so healthy. They are so healthy. And they are a major part of the anti-inflammatory diet, which is so important.
Give the kids a butterscotch kind of grandpa, you know what I mean? We're gonna need a new method.
You might also create microclimates to expand your options. For example, plant trees and shrubs to create shade for smaller plants, such as lettuces, which prefer cool weather. I love sweet potatoes, but they need a much longer summer than we have here in New England, so I'm working on season extending strategies. But until I succeed, I won't devote much space to them. Number 5, soil. If your soil is very poor, low in organic matter, you'll need to enrich it before creating a good pasture or vegetable garden. If your soil is poorly drained, look for crops that can tolerate wet soil, but avoid sheep because cool, wet conditions exacerbate foot scald and foot rot, which afflict sheep. You can test your soil to determine how to improve it for the crops you want to grow. Larger property owners or potential buyers might want to access online USDA soil maps to see if the soils on a property are good for crops or pasture. If you have well-drained upland pasture, you can raise any grazing livestock like sheep. 6, existing ecosystems. My experience in fielding questions like, what's the best thing to raise on a homestead, is that a lot of people think of their land as a blank slate where they can create any ecosystem they want. That is sometimes possible and desirable, but working within existing ecosystems is often much easier. Let's say you have 10 acres of forested land and have your heart set on raising cows, hay, and corn. Clearing that forest to create pasture, hayfield, and cropland is an awful lot of work. Have you thought of forest-raised pigs and or creating a food forest? Oh, and there's a beautiful pond nestled in the woods. How about raising ducks? So that's another reason why I'm considering goats, because I'm not sure if we'll have enough cleared space for the cows. I don't know. I'm going to have to try to talk to some people and figure that one out. A small landholder can raise pigs in their brushy abandoned apple orchard, rotating the enclosure daily. This is much easier than clearing the land for animals that need good quality pasture. 7. Lay of the land. Layout is more important than some ambitious wannabe farmers care to admit. I know because that was me once. Now our vegetable garden graces the corner of our land furthest from the kitchen. Sun exposure is best there, and it works well enough because our property is small, but if I were to do it again, I'd make proximity to the kitchen a higher priority. As for the proximity of animals to the house, opinions vary, and you'll have to determine your own preferences. Setting them far from the house keeps noise, odor, and rodents from the house far from the house. However, in snowy, icy, and rainy conditions, or when an animal needs frequent attention, you might prefer a very shorter walk to the barn. If your property is very small, you will have no choice but to locate animal housing close to your own, but be sure to check the zoning regulations in your community. Fencing and outbuildings. Number 8, fencing and outbuildings. Are there any existing fences or outbuildings on your property? Are they appropriate for the animals you want? Will they keep your animals safe from the predators in your area? Don't assume that existing fencing or on an existing farm excludes all of the local predator species. Your predecessor might have relied on bullets more than you'd want to. If there are no existing outbuildings or fences on your property, can you afford to build them? You might have to research the needs of the livestock and the types of predators in your region before you can answer that question. We already know we're going to have to put up fencing, so. But again, we're going to be working on enclosing the entire living area of the property and building a privacy fence around it, and that's going to help a lot, so. 9. Predators. Learning about the potentially problematic wildlife in your region is an important part of starting a homestead or backyard farm. Is there an abundance of deer, rabbits, or groundhogs? If so, you will need appropriate deterrents if you hope to eat the vegetables you grow. Are you in range country where grizzly bears, cougars, or wolves might threaten cattle, sheep, or goats? If so, learn how to keep your livestock safe at Agriculture and Carnivores. It's a website, and that's the actual title of it, Agriculture and Carnivores. Are you hoping to raise chickens where everything from tiny weasel to enormous bear could wreak havoc in your coop? If so, check out the post on how to predator-proof your chicken coop. And that was how to predator-proof your chicken coop. It's not my site, it's what they list here. Number 10, diversity. A diversity of plants and animals makes for a more intricate farm ecosystem. This helps prevent pest outbreaks, and you can read in Permaculture Principles. It also allows you to use the outputs of some crops as inputs to others. For example, our Bolton greens are fed to the chickens. Our rabbits, when we had them, devoured the apple tree prunings in the winter. And droppings of both rabbits and chickens are marvelous additions to the compost, which in turn feed our fruit and vegetable crops. And the chicken,
blood splatter on the outside of your dessert.
the compost from the chickens, the bedding, and basically the chicken poop from your chicken coops, you will want to let that compost for anywhere to 6 to 9 months before using it. Because it's very acidic and it has a lot of nitrogen in it, and it is considered a hot addition to your compost, and if you put it directly on your plants, it will burn them. I've made that mistake. Backyard farms tend to be diverse by default, because most backyard farmers aim to feed their families, not to produce a large quantity of one product for the market. Also, they exist in the context of neighboring homes and gardens, screens of trees between houses, and so on. But if you're lucky enough to have larger property with fantasies of raising fruit, for example, think in terms of an integrated orchard to minimize pest and disease problems, increase productivity from the land, conserve soil and water, and confer resilience to your system. I.e., if one crop fails, you can rely on others. And that's important. In the King's Garden at Fort Ticonderoga, New York, flowers, herbs, and vegetables all rub elbows. High biodiversity in the farm or garden helps prevent pest outbreaks. I'll show this picture right here. Sorry.
When you fry donuts, you want to let your dough
See?
fluffy and light.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're gonna have a dense
11. Kitchen. A squeaky clean modern kitchen is a thing of beauty and often a family gathering place, but a farmer's kitchen is a workspace. And that is very true. And I'm aiming for our kitchen to be rustic, obviously clean, rustic with the wood cook stove and ample storage space, pantry. Obviously, we're going to have root cellar slash storm cellar. But you know, a lot of the preservation work. Well, the preservation work is going to be done in our outdoor kitchen, so. But there's obviously going to be a lot of cooking that'll go on in the kitchen in the house, too. As interpreters at Old Sturbridge Village, an 1830s living museum will demonstrate the farmstead kitchen was constantly busy, dirty, and smelly. Rendering lard, canning vegetables, making jam, grinding sausage, churning butter, and making cheese are all kitchen activities. Spills and splats decorate the floor. If you're going to start homesteading, that might be your kitchen. Is there enough counter space? Are the floors and counters easy to clean? And that's important. You have to make sure that it's easy to clean. So, and I'll show you the picture that they have here. Very cool. A farmstead kitchen can be a dirty, smelly workspace. This 1830s kitchen looks charming, but with its pine board floors and wooden countertops, it is difficult to clean. And I'll make sure that our kitchen is easy to clean. So even the outdoor kitchen. Now in the outdoor kitchen, I do believe it was on Doug and Stacy. He was talking about Craigslist. On Craigslist, you can find old stainless steel countertops that are being given away. And those can be easily used for your outdoor kitchen or butchering area or, something like that. So I'm going to keep that in mind. All right, number 12, storage space. The grocery store is a wonderful convenience, but not only because it eliminates the need to grow food for those who don't want to. That's also what's bred laziness. But also because we don't have to store more than a few days' worth of food. But if you plan to grow some of your own food, you'll probably want to preserve some of it. Do you have enough shelf space for canned goods? How's your freezer space? Do you have a root cellar? A place for garden tools, a woodshed? If you do not have the storage space for your future homestead products, do you have the resources to create it? And that's exactly what we're going to do. So, number 3, money. If farming is a hobby and money is no object, you can skip right over this. But on the other... Oh. Excuse me for a minute. Sorry about that. Anyway. But on the other hand of the spectrum are those who need to make a profit on the food they produce. They will need to do some market research. Is there a demand for what you want to produce? Is there a demand for what you want to produce? Sorry. Is there a demand for something you hadn't thought of but might like to grow? Here is a great resource on, and this is a site you can go to, on selling successfully at farmers markets. Most people probably fall between those two extremes. They want to raise some of their own food and expect or need it to be cheaper than supermarket fare. If you fall into that category, you should sit down with a balance sheet before building a barn or clearing the forest. Industrial farming is extremely efficient and cost effective, at least without taking environmental impact into consideration. It's often more expensive to raise your own food. It can be at first, but it's always worth it. Always. No. Sorry. 14 neighbors. We homesteaders tend to be the self-reliant sort who want to do as we please on our own property. However, I think it's a good idea to think about the neighbor's tolerance for farm-related noise and odor and your tolerance for their potentially poultry-pursuing pooches. In my own fine town, I know of several disputes over farm activity between neighbors, at least one of which culminated in legal action and another involving threats of shooting a dog. Some people don't seem to mind that sort of drama in their lives, but I don't want it, so I find ways to coexist in peace. If you're like me, you might want to give more thought to your fantasy of setting the horse shed by the property line nearest your neighbor's house. You might also want to contain your chickens with fencing so they will not wander into the mouths of neighboring dogs. There are also some farm-related benefits to neighbors, though. Trading is one of them. We tap our sugar maples and one of our neighbors keeps bees. We trade maple syrup for honey. See, that's exactly the homesteading mindset. "15. Special challenges in animal husbandry, disease, injury, and butchering. Not everyone has the stomach for helping animals with nasty infections, painful injuries, debilitating diseases, and complicated births. Before deciding on livestock, familiarize yourself with problems common to that species. Are you up to dealing with them, even in the middle of the night? If you're not liking the sound of this, there's some good news. There are hardier breeds within each livestock species. For example, highly domesticated sheep need a lot of assistance when giving birth, but the more primitive Shetland sheep has retained the ability to lamb with little to no assistance. You can read more about this breed in Raising Shetland Sheep, and that's a site you can go to, Raising Shetland Sheep. Even more difficult than dealing with illness and assisting birth is butchering. Farming is a cruel business, and I refuse to minimize or euphemize it. Yes, I know death is part of life, and so on and so forth, but it's still cruel from the animal's perspective. It's not just that animals must be killed, it's that you have to kill them or send them for slaughter after you've cared for them and earned their trust. It's a horrible betrayal, and I don't think I'm up to it. Quite honestly, I'd rather hunt than kill animals I've raised. You might be interested in the musings of this hunter interviewed in, and this is another site you can go to, Hunting Ethically, who wonders if he'd go vegetarian if he had to kill animals he'd raised himself. And again, that was Hunting Ethically. Do you have any tips for planning a homestead or backyard farm? Feel free to share your ideas and ask questions in the comments. And that was it for that. And that is the second of our Pinterest section. Well, of our Pinterest series. Our Pinterest homesteading series. I am actually in the process of writing that one out right now. So, I'm still on number 2 on that one. So, I have a ways to go. But that's why I made the decision that I'm just going to go ahead and just start reading them off from my homesteading folder out of Pinterest. Because it's just going to take me too long to wait until I've written them all out. And I want to get this information out there for you guys. So, all right, I'm gonna get off from here, get this video uploaded, and you guys have a good rest of your day. I gotta work tonight, and I will see you guys in the morning. Bye, guys.